Have you ever heard of a poem that could steal your breath? Not metaphorically, but truly, deeply steal it away, leaving you gasping in the silence of its curse? They say some words hold a power beyond comprehension, a darkness that lingers long after the ink has dried. This is the story of one such poem, a haunting ballad born from anguish and despair, known only as the Lament of Tamino. Dare you turn the page? Tamino was a child of shadows, a figure often overlooked and forgotten in the grand scheme of his family's existence. His presence was like a whisper, barely audible, lost in the cacophony of a household that thrived on power and prestige. He was a whisper lost in the grand tapestry of his family's history, a history that was rich and storied, filled with tales of honor, duty, and unyielding tradition. The walls of their home were adorned with portraits of ancestors who had built their legacy, each face stern and unyielding. His family, prominent and powerful, valued obedience above all else. They were a family that demanded respect and commanded authority, their influence stretching far and wide. In their eyes, Tamino was expected to follow in their footsteps, to uphold the family's honor without question. Their home, a sprawling estate in the heart of Kyoto, was a cage of suffocating expectations. The grandeur of the mansion, with its meticulously maintained gardens and opulent interiors, was a stark contrast to the emotional coldness that permeated its halls. It was a place where appearances were everything, and feelings were buried deep beneath the surface. Within its opulent walls, Tamino learned to disappear, to become invisible in the face of his parents' icy indifference. He mastered the art of silence, of blending into the background, of becoming a ghost in his own home. His parents, absorbed in their own pursuits, rarely noticed his absence. He found solace in solitude, spending hours lost in the labyrinthine gardens that surrounded the estate. These gardens, with their winding paths and hidden corners, became his sanctuary. Here he could escape the weight of his family's expectations and find a moment of peace. The rustling leaves whispered secrets to him, the wind sang songs of freedom, and the earth cradled his loneliness. In the gentle sway of the trees and the soft murmur of the streams, he found a connection to something greater than himself, something that transcended the confines of his family's rigid world. It was here, beneath the watchful gaze of ancient cherry trees, that Tamino discovered his voice. These trees, with their gnarled branches and delicate blossoms, seemed to understand his unspoken words. They stood as silent witnesses to his struggles, offering him a sense of companionship and understanding that he had never found within the walls of his home. As the cherry blossoms fell like gentle snow, Tamino felt a stirring within him, a desire to break free from the silence that had defined his life. He began to speak, first in whispers, then in a voice that grew stronger with each passing day. The garden, with its timeless beauty, became the stage for his newfound expression. He started to write, to draw, to pour his thoughts and feelings onto paper. The garden inspired him, its natural beauty fueling his creativity. He found joy in the simple act of creation, in giving form to the emotions that had long been suppressed. His journal became a confidant, a place where he could be himself without fear of judgment. Slowly, Tamino began to share his creations with others. He found friends who appreciated his art, who saw the world through a similar lens. These connections brought him a sense of belonging, a feeling that he was not alone in his journey. The garden, once a place of solitude, became a space of community and joy. Tamino's voice, once a mere whisper, grew into a confident declaration of his identity. He learned that silence could be powerful, but so could the act of speaking out. The weight of silence that had once burdened him was lifted, replaced by the strength of his own voice. In the heart of the garden, surrounded by the beauty of nature, Tamino found his true self. Words became his refuge, his escape from the suffocating reality of his life. He poured his anguish and loneliness onto the page, his calligraphy a reflection of his tormented soul. Each stroke of the brush was a silent scream, a desperate plea for recognition. His poem, The Lament of Tamino, was a tapestry woven from despair. It spoke of his isolation, the crushing weight of expectations, and the yearning for a love he knew he might never find. With each verse the poem grew darker, more desperate, a reflection of his fading hope. Section 4. The Cellar Door. One fateful night, his parents stumbled upon his hidden writings. They had been searching for something, anything, to explain the growing distance they felt from their son. The discovery was unexpected. a collection of poems and stories hidden away in a dusty corner of his room. The words, raw and filled with pain, enraged them. Each line was a dagger, revealing the depth of Tamino's suffering and the facade they had so carefully maintained. The anger in their eyes was palpable, a mix of betrayal and disbelief. They saw it as a betrayal, a stain on their meticulously crafted facade. Their perfect family image was shattered by the raw honesty of his words. The disappointment was overwhelming, and they couldn't comprehend how their son could feel such pain. Punishment was swift and brutal. They couldn't allow such insubordination to go unchecked. The anger fueled their actions, and they decided to teach him a lesson he would never forget. Tamino was dragged to the cellar, a cold, damp space beneath the house. The cellar had always been a place of fear for him, a dark and unwelcoming part of the home. Now, it would become his prison. The poem, his only solace, was ripped from his hands and scattered on the damp earth. Each page, a piece of his soul, lay torn and discarded. The words that had once brought him comfort were now trampled underfoot. The cellar door slammed shut, plunging him into darkness. Days turned into nights, and the line between them blurred. The cold seeped into his bones, and the silence was deafening. He scratched at the stone walls until his fingers bled, desperate to find a way out. The rough surface tore at his skin, but he continued, driven by a need to escape the suffocating darkness. His cries for help were swallowed by the thick silence. No one came to his aid, and the isolation was complete. The cellar became a place of torment, a physical manifestation of his inner turmoil. Each scream echoed back at him, a reminder of his helplessness. In the dim light of a flickering candle, he would sometimes see shadows dancing on the stone walls. They seemed to mock him, a cruel reminder of the life he was missing. The days stretched on, each one blending into the next, a never-ending cycle of despair. His face, once filled with hope and dreams, was now streaked with tears. The hopelessness in his eyes was a stark contrast to the vibrant spirit he once had. The cellar had taken its toll, breaking him down piece by piece. Memories of happier times faded, replaced by the harsh reality of his imprisonment. The laughter and joy of his childhood seemed like a distant dream, overshadowed by the darkness that now surrounded him. Clutching the torn pages of his poems, he held on to the remnants of his solace. The words, though fragmented, were a lifeline, a connection to the person he used to be. In the darkness, they were his only comfort. One day, the cellar door creaked open, and a sliver of light pierced the darkness. It was a small glimmer of hope, a sign that perhaps his ordeal was coming to an end, but the scars, both physical and emotional, would remain. As he emerged from the cellar, blinking in the sunlight, he knew that he would never be the same. The experience had changed him, leaving an indelible mark on his soul. The cellar door had closed on one chapter of his life, but a new one was just beginning. Section 5. Whispers from the page. Tamino died alone in that cellar, his body wasted from starvation, his spirit twisted by rage and despair, but his suffering did not end there. His pain, his anguish, seeped into the very fabric of his poem, staining it with a malevolent energy. Those who dare to read the Lament of Tamino aloud unleash a terrible curse. A whisper of cold air chills the room, followed by an overwhelming sense of dread. The reader feels a phantom touch, icy fingers trailing down their spine. Their breath hitches, their chest constricts, mirroring Tamino's final moments. Section 6. A Siren's Call. Despite the known dangers, the Lament of Tamino holds a strange allure. Perhaps it's the morbid curiosity, the thrill of tempting fate, or maybe it's the raw emotion embedded within the verses, a siren song of despair that resonates with the hidden darkness within us all. Scholars and thrill-seekers alike are drawn to the poem, risking their lives for a glimpse into Tamino's tormented soul. They seek it out in dusty libraries and hidden archives, their fingers trembling with anticipation as they reach for the forbidden verses. Section 7. Beware the Echoes. In the quiet corners of forgotten libraries and the shadowy recesses of ancient forests, echoes of the past whisper their secrets. These echoes are not just sounds but memories, emotions, and energies that have been imprinted on the very fabric of reality. They linger, waiting for someone to listen, to understand, and sometimes, to fall victim to their haunting calls. The story of Tamino and his cursed poem serves as a chilling reminder that words have power. Tamino, a poet of great renown, once penned a verse so beautiful, yet so tragic, that it captured the very essence of sorrow. Little did he know, his words would transcend the pages and take on a life of their own. The poem, once read aloud, would echo through the minds of its readers, bringing forth their deepest fears and regrets. They can heal, they can inspire, but they can also destroy. Tamino's poem became a curse, a haunting melody that played in the minds of those who dared to read it. It was said that the poem's echoes could drive a person to madness, as they relived their most painful memories over and over again. The power of words, once thought to be a gift, became a weapon of unimaginable torment. Beware the echoes of pain and suffering that linger in the shadows, for they can manifest in the most unexpected ways. In the dark alleyways and abandoned houses, these echoes take on a physical form, becoming ghostly apparitions that haunt the living. They are the remnants of past traumas, seeking to be acknowledged, to be understood, and sometimes, to be avenged. But this is just one of many tales whispered in hushed tones around flickering candlelight. There are countless stories of cursed objects, vengeful spirits, and the darkness that lurks at the edge of our perception. Each tale serves as a warning, a reminder that the past is never truly gone, and that the echoes of history can reach out and touch us in the present. Stories of cursed objects, vengeful spirits, and the darkness that lurks at the edge of our perception. These tales are not just the stuff of legend, but real accounts of those who have encountered the supernatural. From cursed antiques that bring misfortune to their owners, to spirits seeking revenge for wrongs done to them in life, the echoes of the past are all around us, waiting to be discovered. Are you brave enough to delve deeper into the abyss, to seek out the stories that have been hidden away, and to confront the echoes of the past? It takes a special kind of courage to face the unknown, to walk the path that others fear to tread, but for those who are willing to take the risk, the rewards can be great. Knowledge, understanding, and perhaps even a sense of closure await those who dare to explore the shadows. The choice, dear reader, is yours. Will you heed the warnings and stay in the safety of the known? Or will you venture into the darkness, seeking the truths that lie hidden in the echoes? The path you choose will shape your destiny, and perhaps the destiny of those who come after you. Remember, the echoes are always there, waiting. All you have to do is listen.